Hey guys, thank you for stopping by. I pray and hope that you're living life and living it well. Listen, I can't wait to jump in today's video with you guys. But before we do, I challenge you, as always, to click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Also click the notifications bell so that you can receive notification every time I upload new content on this channel. So let's get into the video. Here we go. Are you at the point in your life to where you have to make a life-changing decision? Maybe switching jobs, leaving the company you're with now and going to another company, or maybe leaving your job to start a business, maybe relocating to a different city, or maybe you need to decide if you want to keep renting that home or purchase your own home. I know exactly how you feel right now. This is a hard decision for you. Life-changing decisions can cause you to toss and turn at night. Life-changing decisions can cause you to lose hours and hours of sleep. And the reason why is because you don't want to walk into a new chapter of your life thinking that this was all a mistake. I totally get it. I've been down that path before. So listen. If you are at that point in your life to where you need to make a life-changing decision, I challenge you. I challenge you to pray and ask God, what is it that you want me to do? You know, sometimes we get so focused on waiting on a word from others instead of waiting on a word from God. We focus all of our attention on what others think. Then we miss out on his answer because we've been anxiously waiting to see what was on the mind of others. And all along, God is saying, okay, this is what I want you to do. He's saying, okay, this is where I want you to go. But instead, you're waiting on comments from places like Facebook, and you're sitting there waiting and waiting, not realizing that through places like Facebook, you're going to get 300 different opinions. I challenge you today to listen to the voice of God. Wait for his guidance or direction because he already knows what's ahead. He's already gone ahead of you. I love what it says in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and the future." I think about how the disciples made life-changing decisions, how they left their professions to follow Jesus and begin ministry with him. There wasn't any hesitation when he gave them instruction. They didn't call up friends to see what were their opinions. What did they think? They did exactly what they were told. For example, Matthew chapter 4, verse 18, while Jesus was walking along the shore of Lake Galilee, he saw two brothers. One was Simon, also known as Peter, and the other was Andrew. They were fishermen, and they were casting their net into the lake. And Jesus said to them, he said, "Follow me. I will teach you how to bring in people instead of fish." Right then, the two brothers dropped their nets and went with Jesus. And we can see how their lives changed completely. This displays great trust. Proverbs 3:5 says, "With all your heart, you must trust the Lord and not your own judgment." With all your heart is simply trusting God completely. If he's telling you to go ahead and take the job, then take the job. If he's telling you to start the business, then start the business. What are you waiting for? Whichever pathway he's instructing you to take, I advise you to take it. Because why? He's the author of your life story. He wrote out your life story before you even open your eyes in this world for the first time. I challenge you to go where he tells you to go. Do what he tells you to do. Have you ever listened to the voice of God like he tells you to do one thing and you do it, and now you're facing all sorts of obstacles. Like, God told you to relocate, to the new job. And when you get there, you're facing all sorts of difficulties and struggles. And now you're like, okay, that wasn't God, because he'll never lead me into obstacles. But the reality is that even obeying God's voice can sometimes lead you to rough paths. But don't turn around in the middle of the journey. Keep going until he says different. I think about Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 through 24. It says, "At once Jesus made his disciples get into a boat and start back across the lake. But he stayed until he had sent the crowds away. Then he went up on a mountain where he could be alone and pray. Later in the evening, he was still there. By this time, the boat was long away from the shore. It was going against the wind and was being tossed around by the waves. The disciples obeyed Jesus. Scripture says Jesus made the disciples get into the boat. Then further down, we see that the same boat is going against the wind and is being tossed around by the waves. If God tells you to do something and you do it, and now you're being tossed from side to side, facing all sorts of obstacles, don't turn around. Don't go back to where you were. Don't make a U-turn during the journey, because you will never see what he wanted you to see. If the disciples would have turned the boat around, they wouldn't have experienced him the way they experienced him. I challenge you today to listen to the voice of God. He's the only one who knows what's ahead of us. There's no need for you to toss and turn at night, losing hours and hours and hours of sleep. The Bible tells us to cast all your anxiety on him. Why? Because he cares for you. So whatever your life-changing decision may be, let God lead you and guide you into the right direction that he wants you to go. Hey, listen, I thank you for tuning in today. It's always a pleasure talking with you each week. Remember to always listen to the voice of God.
Join Pastor Brandon each week as he shares a message of hope. A message that can keep you lifted during these difficult moments that we are all facing today. You can stay connected with Pastor Brandon by following him on Facebook or subscribing on YouTube. Until next time, remember that you can make it through any situation, you can survive any storm, and you can win any battle.